Alright, moving back, or forward rather, to the receiver. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say by this point in the video, guys, if any of you are new, please consider subscribing and liking the video for more videos. That would help me out significantly, if you want to. But anyway, onto the receiver. The rivets on this bad boy are done very well. As you can see, none of them are pressed in too hard. None of them are like popped out. They're all evenly pressed. That one looks like it may have been pressed in just a bit too hard. Go to the other side here and show the rivets on there. Right in here, up on the bulge, right in there. But the rivets look excellent, and that was another thing I found very nice on this. Because when I was initially looking at this, I thought this was like, you know, one that they, like an older one that they had, you know, tricked out. But the rivets are nice. The fit and finish on the receiver is excellent. The bolt rides inside the rails on the inside very well. The safety is not very hard to manipulate. It might be for me because I'm doing this one-handed. If I can get it. There it goes. Yeah, see, that ain't that bad. Some AKs, I picked up some older ones, like older washers and older M70s, and you kind of have to put like anti-seize on the safety there. But it goes down nice. The rivets on the trigger guard are nicely and evenly pressed in. No bulging, no, you know, they're not sticking out, they're not pressed in too hard. The mag release is nice. The trigger is like one of the jewels of this dude. Okay, so I'm gonna, it's not loaded. I'm going to show the trigger press right here. I'm just going to pull, I'm pulling, pulling, pulling. Click. A very light trigger, almost as light as my M1A. Maybe not as light. The cuts there for the mag well are nice as well. Overall, it's an expertly done you know, AK receiver. And I'm not even, you know, an AK expert, but this is just stuff that I've learned over the years watching other guys who have collected AKs for most of their life, and that's their primary rifle. And you know, after watching those for so long, I know what to look for in an AK. And this AK is put together pretty damn good. It does have the 1.5mm receiver, like an RPK, which is typical of the Yugos and Serbian AKs, because they were kind of like, you know, we're going to do our own thing. Screw you, Russia. They didn't go as radical, rebellious on their guns like the Czechs did, which they basically, the Czechoslovakians, they made their whole different rifle. They wouldn't adopt the AK-47. They made the VZ-58. But typical with Yugo, Serbian AKs, like, you know, standard length AKM-47s, they have the receiver bulge here, like RPK receiver, and then they have a unique hand guard. See, most AKs, the hand guard only has like two cooling slots in it, but the Yugos extended it out, and theirs had a three slots in the handguard. I also think the barrels are a little thicker on M70 Yugo rifles. On the other side comes with the scope rail, which was a blessing as well, because I would not know how to put a scope rail on an AK receiver to save my life, because I like I said, I know enough about them to know what to look for on the receiver, but you know, outside of just, you know, taking one apart and shooting it out, I'm no expert on putting one completely together, like, you know, folding the receiver and, you know, putting the rivets in and all that. That's a bit beyond me. But it came with a scope rail, and when you take the dust cover off, you have to press in this tab here. It will also press in this tab here because it's got the little lock there, which Yugo M70s are also known for. The older M70s had grenade launcher sights on the gas tube, like the M70 AB2 and B1, the originals. They had gas cut off grenade launcher sights because the Yugoslavians were obsessed with putting grenade launchers on their rifles, but this one doesn't have it because it obviously doesn't need it anymore. Not to mention, this is a civilian rifle. I don't even know what Serbia uses now in their military. I think they use something. They use something in 5.56, I think, because they're part of NATO now. But back when they were a communist Warsaw Pact nation, they had grenade launcher sights on their AKs. This one doesn't also have a bayonet lug. The sights, the rear sight on the front trunnion is really nice. I'm going to try to set this up too. I'm sorry if I keep moving this. I'm trying to set it up to where you guys can look down the sights. The sights are not crooked at all, from what I can tell. That's pretty much even. Sometimes you pick up AKs or you find AKs and the front sight is way crooked, or the rear sight's real crooked, but this one's all in line, and it showed on paper at 50 yards too. I need to take it out to 100. The gas system, the gas tube, this lever here locks in pretty tight. I had to tap it out. Tap it upward with a wooden dowel rod and a brass hammer last night, but it locks into place, and taking the gas tube off wasn't a problem. It's all straight up and down, and the bolt and bolt carrier group are in very nice condition. I would break it down, but I don't feel like putting it back together because getting the dust cover back on is a bit of a pain in the butt. But I think that's just because it's so new. Coming to the barrel is excellent. Before I even took it to the range yesterday, I took it apart. And it's funny too, because you know, I've held AKs before. I shouldn't say I've never held AKs. I've held hundreds of them in stores, but I have never, until yesterday, I had never taken one completely apart. You know, like all the internals out of it, except for like the trigger group and the some of the other internals in the receiver. But I had never taken one physically, like, you know, the bolt out, the gas tube off, and all of that. And my dad was sitting there, he was watching me. I field stripped it right there on the couch, and he's like, damn. He's like, I was like, yeah, I've never took one apart, but here I am taking it apart. And we looked down the barrel, and the rifling in this is almost kind of like an old handheld or a hand-built Winchester Model 70 Pre-64. It's deep, it's thick, and it's, you know, nicely cut all the way down to the chamber. And I couldn't believe it. Like, this is like pristine condition. And that, you know, and like I said, when I first picked this up way the other day, like a week or two ago, and I held it in the store, I thought it was a used AKM-47. I thought it was one that somebody had and just, you know, threw a bunch of aftermarket stuff on. But when I got it home and started looking it over, and I looked down the barrel and all that, I'm like, no, this is a brand new production AK-47 straight off the line out of Belgrade, Serbia. So I was impressed by that. The cleaning rod, I cannot get it out of there. It is stuck. I know they're threaded in down here at the end, but I cannot get it loose. So I had to use a bore snake to clean it last night. The gas tube and gas piston all seem to be put together well. I didn't see no signs of it being misaligned up here, because when I put the bolt carrier back in, the piston went straight in. No issues there. And here on the front sight, like I said, the front sight is pretty straight up and down. There's no, it's not counted to one side or the other. The little post that's in there is straight up and down too, even. So the only thing I will say that I had an issue with, and it's not really my fault, or you know, I could probably correct it maybe, is that at the range it would shoot high. It shoots about 2 or 3 inches high from the sights at 50 yards, but at 100, that's probably not going to be, it may probably be dead on at 100. Speaking of sights too, I'm going to go back a little bit. I know, I apologize. It has a sight leaf, like all AKs do. And this one's, you know, you can see the numbers real well. That's brand new as well. It goes from like I'm going to guess 0. I'm not going to pretend I know what 0 means, but it's like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, all the way out to 1,000. And for an AK, that's a bit optimistic, but I can click them out pretty good. It's stiff, it's new, but I can move it out to 1,000. But with an AK, that'd be pretty optimistic. I mean, if it was in 308 or 30-06, like it was a Yugo M70, that might be a little bit more doable. Yeah, now it's stuck. I'll fix it here in a minute. And then down here at the end, it is threaded. I forget the name of this muzzle device here. It's like a shroud, but I know it pushes the gases to one side or the other, and you can switch it out to, like, you depress this and you can spin it around, take it completely off. So I could, if I wanted to, throw another muzzle brake on there, or another type of muzzle device. It has European threads, meaning it loosens when you turn it right, and then tightens when you turn it left. It's kind of reversed from, like, you know, left loose, right tight. It's reversed from that mentality. And with this type of ammo, tool ammo, 7.62 by 39, 122 grain full metal jacket ammo. It shot this stuff like a house of fire. And I got a case here. I'm going to show you what the firing pin did to the primer. It's a very even, very well depressed punch. The firing pin hitting the primer is smack dab in the middle, and it was just, you know, just a fine whack. So this thing is nice. This is probably one of the nicest AKs I've ever seen and handled, and then best of all, got the fire. I've handled a bunch of them in the stores, but I'd never shot one until yesterday. This was the first AK I ever shot, and it's a good thing too that it was mine. But yeah, I had never shot an AK-47 until yesterday. But I shot it pretty good. I got a 1.50 MOA group, and then my dad got a 1.25 at 50 yards with it. So it also has on the other side, I'll flip it around again, a sling swivel here as well that I will utilize in conjunction with the QD points on the buttstock. But all in all, my first impressions of it, it's a very nice rifle. very well put together. I am lucky to have found one and got one at the price point that I did, because these things are not the AK. The days of going down to the store and buying like a washer tin for like $300 or $400 or however much, then days have sadly come to an end. Import restrictions have increased on various overseas European nations. We can no longer get Saigas or Vepers. And I don't know about sanctions on like Arsenal from Bulgaria, or the Yugo guns from Serbia, which are imported through Century Arms, and there's a few more of them that I'm not listing. But the AK-47 variant rifle is becoming, has become kind of a more obscure firearm. I mean, we can still get washer tins and Yugos, but the price on them has skyrocketed. And the pandemic and all the civil unrest last year, combined with the idiotic new administration that we have now, is not making it any easier. And I'm not trying to be a fortune teller or a prophet when it comes to AK-47s and foreign rifles imports. But from everything I've heard and read from other YouTubers that are more into it than I am, the AK-47 is, the price is just going to keep going up. Like I was on Arsenal's website way the other day, and even their SLR 107s are kind of getting a little hard to find. They've been out of stock for a long time. And then washer tins go for like over $1,200. But I'm impressed with mine. First impressions are it functioned just like I figured an AK would, as an AK should. Absolutely love it. And I'm glad I was able to get mine when I did. I need to get more magazines first thing, and then I'm going to start utilizing this M-lock here to get some rails. They sell rails on Amazon for this M-lock, for M-lock rails, and I'm going to put like a tri-rail. I'm going to put a rail here, and on the other side. Then I'm thinking about putting like a Surefire flashlight on this end. Oop, don't want to knock my mag off the table. And then put like maybe a Russian Perst 4 laser here with a foregrip down here. And then maybe get like either a 1:4 or 1:8 scope to put on it, or a red dot, and then paint it some kind of desert camo. Like a hybrid between desert and woodland. That's what I intend to do. Going to spray paint it like I did in my AR, just hit it all, the barrel and the receiver, the buttstock. I have to figure out how to tape off the receiver though, but with it being an AK, that's probably all I need to do. Just leave the bolt carrier in there, take the bolt out, then plug up the end of the barrel, and then go in there on the inside and remove any paint that got in, and not just worry about it, because AKs are tough like that, and paint wears off. So, and most people would be like, oh well, when would you paint your new gun? You should keep it as it is and resell it. Well, believe it or not, folks, there are some people in this world that buy guns and do not resell them, and that I am one of those people. I won't be reselling this gun. Same with my M1A and my AR-15, my DPMS Oracle. Them are with me until hell freezes, basically. But this dude has a lot of potential, and I can't wait to make more videos on it. So stay tuned, guys. This has been Pliskin by 51mm. I'll catch you all in the next video.